What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of your favorite podcast, Point Forward. I'm Andre Iguodala, here with my guy, Evan Turner. Today's show, we are talking about the NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals matchups. Also, the synergy between our guys, Luca and Kyrie. Scottie Scheffler's run-in with the police just before his match this past weekend at the PGA Championships. Also, some fun ideas and some conversations around the WNBA, commentary around their greatness. A lot to talk about today, but before we start, please be sure to follow us on all platforms where you listen to your podcasts at Point Forward.
Point Forward.
Point Forward is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Point Forward.
All right, ET, we've had a fun weekend of closeout games in both the East and West heading into the conference finals. And so we are here with the NBA's Finals Four, as you call it. I think we're right around where we thought we would be a week and a half ago. Obviously, Boston Celtics still at the helm, leading the charge. They're at a minus 150, meaning you got to put more money in to get a percentage of that money.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Timberwolves at a plus 275, so they're the favorites to come out the West. Dallas Mavericks coming in third at plus 500. The Indiana Pacers at a far behind plus 2,500 to win the finals. It's really interesting. We will have a new NBA champ. Boston, this is like what year? Feels like, I don't know, when's the last time Boston didn't make the conference finals, but they're here again, and it's looking like they're primed to finally get over the hump to win a chip.
Yeah, for sure. I think what's super cool about this is, with these four teams, you have it really solidifies the face of the change of the guard, the face of the NBA. I think we spoke last week, and I think some of the GMs were saying the game is at a really good place right now in regards to the upside, the popularity of it, what the talent is in the league, but at the same time being able to somewhat shoot it straight, even in regards to the officiating. Back in the day, you don't have guys in the league anymore that are getting 25 free throws a night or garnering a crazy, crazy attention. Dudes are just getting out getting it the right way, but you got faces like Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, and Tyrese Halliburton. I'm excited for the NBA, and I want to see a new crown champ. Whose eyes do you like the most?
Boston is Boston, and they keep getting there. So I think, it's sitting right there as the safe bet, I would say. We had some money moves conversations, and we talk about, what percentage you're looking to get back. And the safe bet is with the Boston Celtics being their history and their talent and their acquisitions over the last year.
Yeah, but when you break down also, too, and I'm forgetting about this as well, but, look at the Timberwolves. You got Anthony Edwards. You have the sixth man of the year. You have the defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Jaden McDaniels just made second team all defense as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have Cat, another all-star. You have Mike Conley, Mr. Can't Do Wrong. You understand what I'm saying? When you talk about a loaded team without Porzingis, you're just talking about the Twin Towers, and you go into, think about it, coach is a real thing now, too. Not saying there's going to be certain teams that lose because their coach got beat now. You know what I mean? If you say it happened to Doc Rivers, then it can happen to anybody. You feel where I'm coming from?
Mm-hmm.
So we're discussing who really has the best odds. It's shoot, and Edwards is moving with a brick. That's a dangerous team in general, especially with a little star like that. So I know the Celtics, unless Porzingis comes back, but it's I was talking to somebody from the Celtics, and they're like, well, shit, now we don't have to worry about Jokic. We didn't have anybody from Jokic. And I was talking to the homie Jeff Teague, and he's like, well, shit, who y'all got for Cat and Gobert if y'all ain't got nobody for Jokic?
This is true.
And that's
different offensive juggernauts.
But, dog, when you break it down, bro, if they doing what they supposed to, Cat's supposed supposed to be, having his way if he's an all-star inside and out. Pause. But then, granted, the rebuttal was, shoot, that duo in Dallas is nothing to mess with either when you add it up. If you look at the Kyrie, Luka Doncic demographic, that's two here, take it, that you got to really be able to defend. And some people say that might be the best duo right now out of this foursome in the conference finals.
So I was saying that as well. And just before we hop into the finals MVP odds, I thought if Denver played against Dallas, Denver would get to the finals. But
okay,
I'm gonna be honest. I said if Dallas and Minnesota meet up, I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised because I'm rooting. I mean, just to be honest, my personal fan favorite right now is Ant Edwards, so that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
But if I'm speaking strictly from my basketball expertise, whatever you want to call it, whatever that is, Dallas is primed to beat Minnesota.
Ooh. Why do you think that?
Just the matchups themselves. You got Lively and what's my other big fella's name?
Daniel Gafford.
Daniel Gafford has been playing really well.
Yeah, you're right.
Really well. And I think that was a great trade for them. It was one of those trades that sneak under the radar. Whereas like you don't notice it in time, but when you get in situations like in the playoffs and the matchups, you can play both of them together or you can play them separately depending on how you want to play. So they can fit any style. And Derrick Jones Jr. has been hooping, like defending his behind off.
You want to know who's going to lose it for him? Timmy's son. He going to forget this ain't about him. And he going to shoot him out the game. To be honest with you, G, this is the last be honest. Because on the truth, he about to dribble to the corner and do a step back and twist his ankle on the people behind him because he wasn't supposed to be shooting or stepping back or jumping that goddamn high on a jumper, and he did. The next person, and I'm the biggest fan of him, but, I mean, he's a superstar, so it doesn't matter, but I think Kyrie and Luca are going to have to be full power scoring. Like, couple games, last series, he had a couple 12-point games. You understand what I'm saying? And I think, he chipped in and did a lot of little things like the assists and everything like that. But I think when it's coming down to the full throttle up and down, you just got to make sure they're both clicking on all cylinders. But that's definitely a tough duo.
Yeah, but we forgetting about a guy that's been really putting on for Dallas. PJ Washington has been stepping up at another level. And I wanted to speak on him specifically because your situation in the league can really determine the perception that folks place on you. And they can alter your career. It can alter your earning potential. And, coming from Charlotte, you can be labeled as a loser. And you can be labeled as somebody that, winning doesn't come first. And just to see his growth, not even his growth, just to see him be able to showcase his skill set and showcase his development as a basketball player it's been, it's been amazing. And I'm really, really happy for him and hope he continues to stay locked in. He's made some huge shots. He's making some big plays for his team. He's picked up some slack offensively. He led him in scoring a few times the last series. He was a leading scorer. And so you saw that in Minnesota, Game 7. Ant didn't have a good game scoring, but you saw who picked up some slack. Conley had a good game. Cat had a good game. Amazing putback to, just putting his stamp on the game. Gobert making some big shots.
Nash Reed filled in when Cat got those 5 fouls.
Nash Reed looked like the one who could guard Jokic.
And went crazy because when you sitting there, it's like, Cat, how do you keep getting in foul trouble, fam? You the most
Jokic's tough to guard.
No, bro, it's not that. You the most foulest non-defensive playing mug on earth. If you don't want to guard, just don't get no fouls, G. Somehow they lose a lot of their games because he gets in foul trouble for no reason. And literally, you can't do that, G. You can't do that. If it wasn't for my man Gobert hitting that fadeaway from 18 feet out, they were goners. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, they came together as a team. But to go into the DraftKings futures Finals MVP, the odds are still Jason Tatum at the top at plus 115, followed by Anthony Edwards at plus 310, as those two teams are the favorites to get to the finals. Followed by Luca at a plus 600, then Jaylen Brown plus 800. Derek Wright is a surprise at a plus 2200, and Porzingis, he's looking to get back some point during the Eastern Conference Final. He's at a plus 3000. So some interesting odds there.
Point. Forward.
We're this close to crowning an NBA champ. With the action heating up on the court, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New to DraftKings? Listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5 and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code POINTFORWARD. That's code POINTFORWARD for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text OPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. One no-sweat bet per new customer. Issued as one bonus bet based on amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/bball for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Point. Forward.
So, E.T., let's talk about, a duo we haven't spoken much about. Not we, but just, general basketball commentary. But what Luka and Kyrie have been able to do, they've been doing everything they're supposed to do. And I think NBA players and true basketball experts, I got to find another word, but true NBA experts aren't surprised at all by this. And I would love to hear your thoughts on it, this Luka and Kyrie duo. And are they the best duo? Are they the best duo right now?
I think, they're tied for top. They're tied for the top duo because I have a lot of respect for Jaylen Brown. Mm-hmm. And I think Jaylen gets the low end of the stick all the time, pause, besides him being the highest paid player in the NBA. But, right now, I think you got to give credit to Nico and J. Kidd to just recognize ballers, bro. Mm-hmm. And not taking, obviously listen to your stat guys and listen to your analytic guys and take in his media and say he's a terrible person or whatever else. Sometimes I remember Danny Ainge used to speak on, listening to those stats, but then also listening to your gut and doing your own homework and knowing what you know. And you remember last year when we talked to Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavs, he was so confident in Luka's ability as a basketball player and where he placed amongst the greats and just mentally. That was after they didn't make the playoffs and everything was supposed to look up and down, this and the third. Did the same thing with Kyrie. Just bro, Kyrie's a baller, dog. Same way where he's just man, this dude also, before he left Nike, had a $500 million business. Mm-hmm. This ain't no normal dude, dog. And then J. Kidd, no hoopers, man. If you got two of the top 20 players in the world and probably two of the top 50 ever to play the game on the same team, you got to goddamn figure it out. And whoever can't figure it out needs to get fired. You know what I mean? Especially coming from these geniuses. And right now, I think it's not always about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmys and Joes and how you put people in position to be successful. And sometimes, man, you're going to be in the back helping write the script and co-produce and rap. And then sometimes you're just going to be driving a limo. And you driving a limo for two big-time stars and to put them in the right situation to be successful, they're going to bring back these type of rewards. There's no way Nike goes and says, yo, here go Kyrie. Back in the day, you got $400 million. Lost that gig, and then people went to China, gave them bread. Jordan, come get Luka, and then we don't trust you enough to lead our organization to go get a championship, but we trust you enough to lead the culture of sports and everything involved. Like I said, it's during the bubble when they made you believe that a team with LeBron and AD were going to struggle. Do you know how dumb you got to be? Hey, man, there was no genius behind this, man. It was just a bunch of dumbasses that left good stock away, stock available. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Take
there
the
was
microphone away. Take the microphone away from them and let them play basketball. And what do you got? That's it.
one of the illest ever alive, breathing. I'm just saying, when you speak like that, it's really nothing for me to say, but I can maybe add an and one, or decipher for those who don't understand layman terms. To put layman terms in layman terms, you talk about Nico, and he just understood, like, man, I got two talents that are not only great at what they do, they have no flaws in what they do, putting them in position to do what they do best, culturally. And I want to tap into that, like what both of them mean to their cultures and how people underestimate like what a real culture phenomenon is, like a cultural phenomenon. Like people don't understand that with both of them. And a part of them being those cultural phenomenons is how they somehow just find a way to do things that are very hard and make them look really easy and effortless. Like we talk about Kyrie's layup package as if it's like a Vince Carter dunk package.
Yeah.
Like just the way he moves. The music they place on Kyrie in his highlight reels, that speaks to like how we feel about him. And I think that is the thing that gets lost in translation. And I think when you have people who move the culture in the way that Kyrie does, it's a threat to those people in a position of power, because you have to come up with, you got to take it political. You got to come up with like some type of conspiracy to, or you got to find something about that person who's a threat to you and keep them below the level of influence. And I feel like is what has been done to Kyrie. Now, does he play a role in this? Yes, he does. And I think he has taken some accountability there. But there's nothing you can take away from this guy and his basketball talent. And I think we've fallen so much into the narrative that, we don't appreciate him in the way that we should be. And Luka, you can speak to Luka. Like you told me who Luka was.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you start peeling back those layers, and now I'm paying attention, and I'm like, yeah, somehow this dude get farther than he's supposed to get every single year with whatever you give him.
Whatever you get. Like, he's been making them. 1 year he didn't make the playoffs, but other than that, he's been making the playoffs since his rookie year, damn near. And you know what I mean? I remember one thing that occurred. I was having a conversation with Dame Lillard when he was in Portland. He said, man, we got to figure out ways to like kind of not stress, but like make it easier. He said, you look at Luka's team, like 3 or 4 years ago, it's like Luka's team's not loaded, but somehow he kicking it 2 weeks before the season's over, trying to figure out if he's in the 4th, 5th, or 6th spot. And I'm like, man, like, not saying that's a bad team, but that was I'm like, who all is over there? And people are complaining. It's like, bro, Luka's not even supposed to be in playoff contention half these times. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, like, when he came over here, man, the talent, the swagger he has, like what he's able to do on all 3 levels. But I think also too, man, let that boy cook. Let a chef be a chef, and more so not when the world understands him. You know what I mean? Like people love Steph Curry because he's understood, and to a certain extent, like he might be safe in a sense. It's like Luka kind of became like a enigma when you weren't allowed to understand him. You should never be able. Not saying understand him, but like, bro, he's a rare breed. He gave this game up since he's 11 years old. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, he went overseas arguably and won a EuroLeague championship and MVP in the league where people claim is arguably better than the NBA and tougher to play in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So we be talking about Luka. Sometimes it's half and half.
As a teenager.
As a teenager. And sometimes it's like, bro, get these idiots away from this man and let 1 or 2 people talk to him, which is like a J kid. And like, obviously he's going to identify with a GOAT like Kyrie, and they're going to make what works. But let a genius be a genius. Shit. It ain't bad when a little dumb fucker in an honors class just say what he want. We listen to that nigga. Also, you can drop out of BC.
And that takes me to our next topic, right? And so we talk about, like cultural phenomenons and then how the perception, can create the narrative around, how we view someone or how we speak on someone. And it was an interesting weekend at the PGA Championship. So it's second major of the year at Valhalla in Louisville, right there where the Bible Belt begins. Where I'd always say I'm scared of the South, and people are like, "What are you talking about?" And now I'm being woke, or I'm being typical Andre.
Say what you want. White folks in the South, they can season now. No motherfuckers can cook. When I break it, every time I go down, I'm like, damn, G, you can't be racist. But I don't know how you're racist because we were late. But
that's a bar.
Straight up.
Maybe it's the history behind where our police departments come from, right? And if people don't know, go do your history. I don't want to give a history lesson because I don't want to be militant Andre today, I guess.
Yeah, look up the Tulsa, what the race riots.
No, like essentially like the slave catchers, that's what the police department became.
Yeah.
Right. Think about that. Somebody running away to freedom, taken back to jail, which is what I do. I wouldn't work for free. But anyway, it sounds crazy. I ran away from somebody that wouldn't pay me to do work.
Imagine a first slave running into a police officer and be like, what you doing? I'm free. Like, no, I'm a police officer. Like, what is that? Like, yeah, that's the new plantation. I'm here to take you to the new plantation.
So, speaking on the South, there was an interesting situation, and I'll give the backdrop now. As I was watching in real time, as I was traveling crazy last week. So, players usually normally get to the course like super early, depending on their tee time. But I've been to a few tournaments, and guys are showing up before the sun comes up, getting their prep ready. And this is a major, so this is like, PGA Championships isn't like the top major, but it's like, conference finals. Like it's a major. It's only 5 of them. So he shows up early, and it's police cars everywhere, sirens on, or not sirens, but police cars. And normally you see that because you're thinking it's like security. They're just trying to make sure the grounds are secure. The guys are getting ready to play. You got to be certain, only certain guys can get into this tournament, whatever. So the number one player in the world pulls up to the tournament, and there were like police barricades around, things of that nature. And he thinks it's probably something normal. Now, his car says PGA, like there's a big sticker on his car, because you normally get a rental car at all PGA tournaments, depending on who the car sponsor is. It could be Lexus, it could be Mercedes, it could be BMW. But on your car, right, on the car, it says, I am this person. Like, it's obvious. And he's trying to get around someone like the barricades, doesn't know what's going on. And a police officer jumps on his car, and then the police officer tries to like jump through his like window and pull him out the car. And he's like, Scottie Scheffler, to give some background, is like, he's Steph Curry of golf, essentially, in terms of like, this is a guy that's like straight and narrow. Like he before every press conference, he's like, honor and thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Like, this is a guy that's straight and narrow. The knock on him is he's too plain. Like he's too safe. That's the knock on this guy. Like he doesn't have any, ego. He doesn't have any flair. Like he just straight in his game, and the way he lives. Toast. Exactly. Like he goes to Chipotle. Like it's just nothing to him. He's freezes up, doesn't know what to do. They say he drives about 20 yards, and I guess it was a little rip on a police officer's car. He gets drug out the car and gets put in handcuffs. And there's one person from the media who sees all this and is filming. It's like, wait, do you know who you're arresting? Other police officers say, hey, all we know is this guy's going to jail. And so when it first happened, we see the video. We like, yo, was he? The reports say he was drunk driving. There was alcohol involved. Then someone threw out there was cocaine in the car, like just all types of crazy, random madness. Come to find out, someone was killed at the tournament. So there was like the buses that transport people from the hotel to the course, maybe workers, maybe players. Like not all players drive. Like there was, transportation. Like we take a bus to every game. One of those buses, or tour vans, or whatever it was, hit a security guard at the tournament and killed him. Like 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that's what happened. The guy died. So the police show up. It's like, homicide, whatever you want to call it. And so Scottie Scheffler showed up about 45 minutes to an hour. He showed up about 6 a.m. after that. So no one knows what's going on. They didn't know someone died, and they're just trying to get ready for the tournament, right? This is the biggest tournament of the year. And so you always see police, and then Scottie's saying, I didn't know this guy was a police officer. I don't know how he was dressed. I don't know if he had on a uniform. He said, I didn't know this guy was a police officer. Somebody just jumped on the hood of your car. Like, if we don't know you're police and you jump on the hood of our car, we're probably going to pull off on you too. And he ended up going to jail for a couple hours. He got booked, and he made it back to his tee time, went crazy, shot the second lowest round of the day. Like MJ having a flu game. This was his jail game. Like went crazy. Now, his rest of this week didn't go well, but he spoke after the tournament, was like, I did some stretching in jail. Once they figured out who we were, they were like, oh, we fucked up. Like, the police were like, we fucked this up. We arrested the number one golfer in the world because he was trying to get to work, essentially. And they said they made him a sandwich. They told some jokes because he was like in shock. Like, he's like, I don't know what's like, he was in jail. Like, I never been in handcuffs, and I'm trying to die before I ever go into handcuffs. The day I go in handcuffs, that's the day I want to die, to be honest.
Damn, all right.
No, true story, because it's like every black man's been in jail, but we ain't talking about Militant Andre. I'm staying away from that.
Yeah, I ain't never been in jail either. That's another thing. I ain't never ever gotten in trouble. So to all you people that be having, like, you say, I've never got a drink citation, no nothing. So get your shit together. Cool. Keep going.
But this is what I want to bring up, right? It took over CNN, took over ESPN in real time. Like, this thing with Scottie Scheffler, like, he got arrested, so it has to be something like this guy of this nature. And come to find out, he got second-degree felony for assaulting a police officer because he drove off on him, plus a few other minor charges. Now, to come back, everything's going to be dropped. There'll be nothing, no charges, none of that. He went back to work the same day, a couple hours after. Like, he probably spent 2 hours in there, 3 hours in there. But the conversation that I want to explore is, on one side is Scottie Scheffler. If you know this guy, like, he shouldn't be in handcuffs. Like, he was in the right, they were in the wrong. He apologized. His press conference afterwards, he said, I want to thank the police department, Louisville, the police department. They did everything right. They protect us, so on and so forth. Said all the right things. But at the same time, like, we talk about golf. We talk about it being a, kind of an insider sport. It's not open to everyone. They're continuing to try to grow the game. And it's been closed off. Membership, expenses, how much it costs to play. It's really an interesting culture of how to get into the game. And saying all of that and what you've heard, how are you thinking about how the situation occurred and then how it's different from any situation with police that you've ever seen?
I mean, I don't know. I thought the whole thing was type, like, wow, when you make those type of error mistakes, like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, when you're sitting down, it's like, I think certain stuff could have been handled with the right way of communication. You know where I'm coming from? And just being like, yo, this is what I do. This is where I'm from. I'm Scottie Scheffler. Call it a day. Now, driving off 20 yards after the cops and told you to stop, like pull him out the car. I'm like, damn, they got for real with him, huh?
Yeah, just jumped on the car, then jumped to try to pull him out, and then like you shook. You like, wait, who was this person driving? If you don't know it's the cops, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, me, I probably just kept driving. Like, I was just like, bro, what are y'all on? Like, it's two different ways to handle it. Like, when you're showing up, because in your mind, you're like, yo, if I got my badge, this is good enough. If I have this on here, this is good enough. So when somebody's trying to stop me, if you don't know it's a cop, so he didn't know it was the cops, right?
Yeah, I said I had no idea it was the cops. He told the cop after he got arrested, he's like, I didn't know you were a cop. Like, you're not dressed like a cop.
And also too, bro, you gotta think, bro, like, you gotta put demographics into it. It's not like different than like a basketball player being cool. Like, bro, them kids hang out in country clubs, bro. Like, when we were doing flu shots with the golf team one time, and 5 of them passed out. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, Scottie Scheffler telling stories about, like, him stretching in jail. Buddy cried in jail too. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
And then also apologize after they fucked up. How soft can you be? Like, you feel what I'm saying? My only thing is when we break it down, it's like, shit, you got out and got to play after a second-degree felony assault. Players, when you get in trouble, you call the union, you send this message over and be like, hey, chill out. Scottie got to go ham. I'm finna go turkey. Like, you know what I mean? like, ain't no, you understand what I'm saying? Because when you sitting there, I said, at one point, I'm like, damn, you thought it was like, this sound crazy what I'm finna say, G, but like, I only paid secondhand attention to it, and when I look back on it, I'm like, bro, y'all act like this is some George Floyd shit, G. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, bro, I don't give a fuck about Scottie G. He got a real taste of real life. Get the fuck up out of there. That's it. Mind your manners. When somebody speak to you, like, what did you say, fam? Cool. Now, fuck out of here and just hit a nigga with a car. Imagine if that wasn't a cop, G. Scottie would be dead.
I don't want to be sensitive to Scottie because I've grown to know him from my vantage point as a golf fan. And I try to assess it as, perception can lead to the narrative of how you paint someone. And he's shown that he is probably one of the more trustworthy humans. Scottie Scheffler will win the Mother Teresa Award. And so I'm sensitive to that. But the other side of me, some people were asking, you know how crazy that was? I'm like, man, it sounds like every day where I'm come from. And it's funny because they said in jail, he said the police officer was like, hey, they gave him a tour. After they found out what he was, they was like, hey, you want something to eat, man? Like they saw he was so shocked. Like he was so messed up. They were like, come on, man. Like, you want something to eat? Here goes a sandwich, man. Come on, man. Have a sandwich. Then they gave him a tour of the jail, calmed him down. I was like, yo, check this out. Come over here, check this out. Like, he went on a field trip.
Yeah.
So, right. You want to hold my gun? We saw that on what? Chappelle's show? That was a skit. You want to hold my gun? Like this? And it's just like, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, and then afterwards, the interview after his round, it was like, how was your weekend? You just spent a few hours in jail. Like, it was like funny, but it was like, I'm like, nah, this sound about like every day for us.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we go through when we say we got to check our back everywhere we go. When we get put up by the police, it is a certain procedure. Like, we follow certain guidelines, like hood guidelines, like put your hands on the steering wheel, ask questions before you move. Hey, can I go grab my license? It's right there. Like, just certain ways we got to move.
Or just like sometimes, like one time I got pulled over. They're like, you're pulled over without a license plate. I'm like, well, I got temps. What you doing with that? I bought a new car. I'm rich. Then I see two more cops come. I said, bro, if you don't send them niggas back, G, call in and see who I am, fam, before I get really mad. Like, dead serious. Call in and ask who I am. You wilding right now, G. Well, where are you going? To my mansion. Like, if you want to pull up and see how I'm living, G, you can dead ass follow me. I'm not going nowhere. I swear to God, but this is OD. You not doing me like this tonight. This is 2016, G. I just got the rape. I'm like, you could have, you know what I mean? It was time to get me, but not when I just got rich. All right? You want to know, I will show you my W-2, but we going somewhere safer. Tell your niggas to beat it.
Point. Forward.
So, Dre, right now, man, we're in the heat of the NBA playoffs. The Western Conference, Eastern Conference finals have been decided. And all around that's going on, we just had the start of the WNBA season. So right now, I can't tell you too many things, but off media alone, I'm well aware that the Indiana Fever that's featuring Caitlin Clark are 0-4 right now. And then, the rest of the league's getting cracking. So how you feel about the WNBA? Have you watched some games and have you noticed? Actually, shout out to Angel Reese. She just tweeted recently. She was saying like, hey, basically just calling out the NBA, like WNBA, like first off, get Nika Mills' visa so she can play and travel, so the charter's there. And also, too, we need coverage on more than one team.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, a new world that we're all entering, especially I'm speaking in terms of Angel as a rookie and just, you understand the business side of things, whereas college is more straightforward, where the W
Title IX.
We're all right. In the W, there's it's straight professional women's. So you're dealing with the top players in the world and you want coverage for everybody. But then there's the business side of things and how to drive that business. And you go through ebbs and flows of how you market, who you market. The NBA's gone with it. You know, we talked about the dress code, or we talked about, just before that, we embraced hip hop music. Then we thought we over embraced hip hop music. Then we banned the sleeves with the Spider-Mans, and it was something against cornrows. Then you go all the way back. It was the cocaine 80s, and then how the fans were more familiar with Larry Bird's. Then you had the Showtime Lakers with Magic and how that was good for the game. Then obviously Michael Jordan being, the perfect storm brewing with his story from UNC, and then in the league and what he did. And then the next Jordan, that movement was for quite some time. But then you started developing a narrative, and you started developing a product that people become familiar with. And I think the W is, it's in the similar stages in terms of its existence. And this being year 28?
Yes.
27, 28. And, trying to ride that wave. You got a great young talent. And, for some, it may feel like there isn't enough of a spotlight spread across. But as we know in the NBA side, we always say it's less than 1% that moves the needle. It's 450 players. And so about 5 guys move that needle in terms of viewership, in terms of the energy. Because even right now, who we've been talking about the last 2 months, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
A lot of our conversations have been around him. You even talk about it, how Jason Tatum, how his seasons fly under the radar because all of our attention is heavily weighted into one area. You talked about LeBron and his coverage. You talked about the Heat.
Yeah.
It was the Heatles for quite some time. The Warriors.
Or even I remember one year I was part of the Celtics and we didn't have not one national TV game until we came on late and they gave us one. But at one point we were like, come on, dog, how you playing in the NBA and don't get a national TV game at this
you
level?
all were one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah, but when you sit there that's a business. You have nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? When you go play, when we played the Christmas game the next year, we're like, hey dog, we won the division last year. How we get the worst Christmas Day game? And they're like, well, you want to know? This Mike Levine saying. He said, well, 1, y'all got swept last year, but 2, the names. Let's be happy you got the game. You understand what I'm saying? And I think those are unfortunately becoming a pro. It's like what Doug Collins said. Man, you want to be a big boy, you want to play with the big boys. This is part of being a professional and taking in some of these things you don't like to hear. That's a part of being an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll add to it because it could be a sensitive subject with me, but I want all players. That's on the men's and women's side. I even speak to the players about it. There's some things we may not like doing. Season ticket holder events. The little nuances of the job that seem like to be inconveniences. There's a purpose for it when you dissect it all and how the whole system works and how you engage the consumer who, not only do they buy tickets, but they buy the TV, they buy cable, they buy the packages to see the games, they buy jerseys, they buy the merch, they buy all the fan stuff, whether it's clothing, whether it's socks, whether it's shoes, umbrellas, car seat covers, all those things, combine to this, this huge business that's put in place. And so you want to break down and know the business. And when you do, you tend to lean in a little bit more. You have a better understanding of why things are the way they are. And when you understand the business, your opinion is a better opinion as well, because you can go against some of the decisions that are made. So if the league makes a decision and you feel like you don't have your input, it's like, all right, you understand the business. Now come back and give that input. Now it's like, oh, okay, we shouldn't do this, but we should do this. And so it's not just trying to attack the problem, but it's also coming up with a solution, a viable solution at the same time.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I think the NBA has done a great job from even rookie transition program of making us understand the business. Like you just said, hey, bro, when y'all go to New Era, I know y'all want to buy NFL teams or baseball teams, but do you understand this licensing part? You know what I mean? Do you understand how the business of basketball works? I use this example all the time. One year we went somewhere and people were like, man, why everybody on Linsanity top? You know what I mean? Why is he getting all the promotions? Remember
Yeah.
that? We were
Yeah.
all like, everybody like, man, I've been killing Buddy. Like, all that. Like,
Yeah.
we're trying to use it like it's some type of crazy disadvantage. And I forgot who said it, but they're like, yo, do y'all understand what reach Jeremy Lin has?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, yeah. So if Jeremy Lin goes crazy, do you know what happens to y'all licensing deals and all that?
Yeah.
We all split the pot. And when
Yep.
she said that, everybody stopped. I was like, oh, all right, well, shit, turn this little ass up. Which like kind of which turns into like the next topic. And when you look at the Jeff Teague situation, and you're discussing Jeff Teague saying like it got to damn near be like WWE for Caitlin Clark. Like right now, the WNBA they locking Caitlin up. She's not shooting too well. They 0 for 4, but it's like you're trying to sell a whole product, and it's not like you're taking away like the killer capacity. But right now, everybody has a responsibility at the forefront to grow the game. And I'm not saying lay down, because don't ever let me say that. But to say that statement is not off the wall for the greater picture of the game. That's like being willing to like break your ankle tonight as opposed to letting it like heal and you be okay. Like, you understand what I'm saying? It's like you have to think of the bigger picture in some type of a blow, but that's a sensitive subject. It's such a sensitive subject. And
in the spirit of competition, we disagree.
Yeah,
because,
for sure. Absolutely. 1,000%.
Damn, I forgot my girl's name, and I'm going to get in trouble for getting another player's name, but it was a defender.
It's only Taraji.
Daphne. Was it Daphne? Dejanay Carrington.
Oh, yeah.
So when you put the spotlight on, I'm saying all that to say this, when you put the spotlight on Caitlin, you get an opportunity to see some other girls. Because I never really got a chance to see Dejanay Carrington, right?
Yeah.
And man, if you see her defensive stance, like a pit bull, locking it up, like getting into her defensively, I'm like, I'm glad I tuned into this game because I got to see a player that I really hadn't had the chance to really lock in with. Like I might have seen her in a few times, but like I was really able to see her, and I'm like, whoa, who is this? And she had 20. She was bucket at the same time. She had 20 plus the first couple of games. She might be averaging 19, 20. But I look at it from that perspective, and you got to keep that competitive nature at a high level in sports. Like you can't soften it up. Like imagine a quarterback having some crazy stats all because he got a wave. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would we think about that guy?
Oh, no, and absolutely. I'm just saying, like, you're smart. You're saying everything. I'm with the spirit of competition, G, but you can never underestimate how dumb the consumer is, dog. like when you sit here, there's people really showing up and be like, there's people that go to people's concert. I went to Robin Thicke concert one time, and all the black folks only wanted one song that came out 6 years ago. You know what I mean? And people walked around until then. He played the song halfway through, and everybody left. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's what we got warm-ups for. You can get all your makes in and warm-ups. People come to the game just to watch Steph warm up. It's a whole – Steph should sell tickets just for warm-ups. And maybe that's what we need to do for Caitlin her first year. And she's a rookie. Like, we talk about that all the time. That rookie year, like, you coming in, it's the nature of the beast. You know what I'm saying? She's a guard. She's on the smaller side. These girls are very competitive. They don't want anybody coming in saying, like, they're going to take over the league. It's like, wait, you forgot I'm here too? We do that all the time with rookies.
Yeah, no, that's real. And at the end of the day, but shout out to Caitlin, like you just told the story about Carrington, learning about her. It's like, shit, you lift every voice when you sing. Like, it's kind of like the Steph Curry effect of being like, shit, we got a booming pod. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Warriors, everything. And I think one thing that occurs, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think Caitlin's going to get better, too, once she starts hitting the weight room a little bit more.
Point. Forward.
Last thing before we go, G. You see the NBA came out with the first team, second team, all defensive team. Did you notice on the first team it was Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert, Herb Jones, and Victor Wembanyama. And then on the second team, it was Derek White, Jalen Suggs, Jaden McDaniels, Drew Holiday, and Alex Caruso. I saw Alex Caruso tweet, and he said, oh, damn, so they put all the guards on second team? Never mind. And you know, it's like a joke when they're always talking about, like, how rare it is for a guard to win Defensive Player of the Year. Or, like, they make it seem like it's a big man award. You know what I'm saying? You think there's any truth to that?
Yes, I think it's very true. I just don't know the answers to it. I I've lost. You remember Roy Hibbert? Roy Hibbert's famous interview? He was like, I mean, you motherfuckers don't watch this anyway. So how do you know? And they were like they were the best defensive rated team in the league. When you look back at that team, Lance was a great defender. PG is a top tier defender in the league historically. They had Roy Hibbert, who was arguably defensive player of the year. He was top 3. David West, we know who that is. And so exactly. And so the big man has kind of been pushed out the game in a way. All-star votes, we got rid of that center position essentially. And the way the game has changed in terms of more perimeter oriented, more threes. And so the big man is we always talk about when the big man is coming back. And so maybe this is an award just for the big man. I don't get it. I always thought it's harder to guard a guy on the perimeter than it is in the paint. Like, I think we all agree to that. Even big men would agree to that. So I would think that defensive player of the year would be somebody who can guard on the perimeter, as well as like Drew Holiday should have been defensive player of the year a couple of times. I just judge. And when when your best offensive player in the league tells you who the best defender is, that says everything. Kevin Durant has been saying for quite some time that Drew Holiday is the best defender that has guarded him. And for some reason, whoever is voting for this just ain't listening. These are my issues.
You want to know who's voting for it? People ain't never who.
But historically, why were they put in place? They're put in place to cover the game, and we need them to cover the game.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what they were put in place for it originally.
No,
we talked to Ebro about that. So how do we make them happy? I mean, the art of journalism is dead anyway. So what does it matter? I mean, all the top newsletters and newspapers, they're all been disrupted anyway. Like, who's reading newspapers anyway? Like, that system needs to be changed.
No, it definitely does. Especially considering the fact, like, bro, go talk to one of these basketball experts, bro. They not experts. They don't know shit. They don't know anything outside of the norm. At one point, all you had to do, you could break into the industry being a basketball writer just by studying Steph Curry and the crazy analytic outputs he put out. Now, this is what you're supposed to, like, every basketball mind knew. I remember one time a dude was dissing DeMar DeRozan, and DeMar is really good. No, he's not. Of course, you would think this. I said, bro, I don't know where we're getting to where you think that if you don't shoot like Steph Curry or play like Steph Curry, you don't deserve to breathe or talk or be known. But, like, this is how far it's gotten out. And right now, we're to the point now where you're having minds not be able to decipher real defensive problems. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like somehow Rudy Gobert keeps winning Defensive Player of the Year. And that's part of, like, people reading analytics and not the eye test.
I'm going to start watching Rudy closer because, I mean,
if you 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, you should slow down Jokic, and he's never done it. I don't care what you talked about. He's never stopped not one star. He's never stopped not one star. Except for Miles Turner in the Olympics back in the day. And that was Miles Turner in the Olympics back in the day. What? Damn. Keep going, bro.
You're going crazy. Question. Damn, you just went crazy. I think you just debunked me.
Crazy.
You might have just cracked the code. So
there's 15 minutes of Gobert in an ISO. There's 15 minutes of YouTube highlights of Gobert in an ISO, and it should never happen.
Okay, so maybe we can do the research on our own. Like, what are his team's defensive ratings? We should be able to quantify how he's changing the game. Like, how many points in the paint are scored while he's on the floor. I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. They winning this year. They winning this year.
No, they are. And you want to know what? I'm going to give him snaps because I always give him snaps. I'm so mean to Rudy Gobert for absolutely no. He looks like a cousin of mine. Like, we look like we could be related. So, like, sometimes I'm like, man, Rudy, I'm hating on myself. But keep going.
No, I'm just trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because we, as players, we see what we see as players. So where's the disconnect with those who are voting? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, And maybe I get too many like rounds to like the heavy hits, you know what I mean? Or like I'll let the punchline, but like I just know so many times like his highlight film his highlight reel is good and bad. But it could be worse.
I think he is a presence at the rim. I think in that Phoenix series he did a good job defensively, but Phoenix played a part in that as well.
Yeah.
But the scheme, I mean, let's keep it a buck. If we want to just be honest, you know, Giannis got Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in the same season, and I watch him just be an amazing. He was the best help side defender in the league. So his help side defending, does that say you're Defensive
right.
Player of the Year?
No, you're right, bro. You're absolutely right. That is crazy. I mean, we're just gonna have to recheck that. That's for another day. And one last thing I said that I tweeted that people were mad about. When we watched game 7 of Minnesota versus Nuggets, I remember saying like, bro, I might sound like a hater, G. I'm cool on watching Jokic play another game. And then somebody asked me why, and I was like, it's like watching baseball. You know what I mean?
The more I watch Jokic, go ahead, finish.
Oh no, that was it. I was just watching baseball. Like for a dude that loves triple, I love all parts of it, but it's just like, come on, bro. I don't even know. It's just hard to really say, G. I like everything about them. I just be sitting here like, bro, come on, my nigga. Like he wins another one. It don't even sound like hate because Luka's one of my favorite players. It's not a Euro hate. It's just like
we ain't found nobody to stop. That was my question. We were talking about Rudy, and you said he couldn't stop Jokic, 4-time MVP. Who's been able to stop Jokic?
Dwight Howard, and that's dead ass serious. It's not no joke. Dead ass serious.
Well, I mean, the Dwight Howard falls under the Kyrie Act, where it was just a certain perception painted, and the narrative was built around that perception that just none of it was true. I mean, I don't care what they want to say about Dwight Howard. He's one of the best defensive bigs of all time. Like him and Shaq would have been a pretty good matchup.
Yeah.
Now Shaq was different, but Dwight, were you in that game? No, you weren't there. We had a game where he had 20 and 20 at halftime. Like I saw Dwight. Yeah. Like don't go in the paint. Don't go in the paint. Like that was a real defensive presence.
And his hand pause in the pick and roll. He got all the steals out the pick and roll. You came off the pick and roll. You tried to in and out Dwight. Dwight getting 3 blocks, 2 steals. And then Dwight and then was the 4th option on a loaded offensive team. Like shoot, I remember Charles Barkley saying like, if I had to take a player, this is 2011, 2012. He's like, if I had to take a player right now, you take Dwight because you always got a chance to win it, no matter what.
Bingo. Yeah. But I like watching Jokic play. I like watching Jokic. And you know what? Watching Jokic play in person versus on TV is different. Like it was one time we were playing them. It might have been 22, and I watched him like it was regular season 21-22. He did not miss a shot in the paint, and it looked like it was just like it was KD makes on hooks and like floaters and like in the paint. It was just like I'm like, oh no, we can't stop him. Like
you want to know who was different, but he just didn't get long enough for the game to change. If you thought Jokic was good, imagine if they would have gave Marc Gasol more time to be Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol was tough.
I'm talking about like off the dribble. Remember at one point,
he was tough.
And that motherfucker was 7'5". It felt like.
I don't know, but Jokic passed that ball, man.
Yeah, you're right. I'm tweaking. What I'm saying about Jokic is blasphemous, so I'm not lying. Like I understand. I'm tweaking.
Now 3 MVPs to Kobe's 1. I'm still mad about Kobe only having 1 MVP.
Now I'm mad that Steve Nash had 2.
Now somebody said something crazy on their podcast about Jokic, and I can't. Like you got to hear what he's saying behind the madness of what he's saying. But when you hear what he's saying behind the madness, he makes a little bit of sense. We're talking about Gilbert. We're talking about Gilbert.
What did he say?
Gilbert was like, if you're measuring, because he was saying Jokic ain't that good. He said some crazy stuff. He didn't say he wasn't that good. He said something crazy, and it took you away from the point. All he was saying, if you're saying about MVP seasons, you got to be crazy. Like your numbers got to be crazy if you aren't the number 1 seed, or else what's the MVP?
The fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't get that award this year is a joke. Or like Luka, or like even like Tatum. Like Like, and that's probably why I'm upset right now. It's just like, nah, my G, like, why did y'all give him that award this year? Like, he didn't have the most like, Sabonis did exactly what he damn near did, dog.
But they want. They're if they would have finished first in the West, different conversation. But they didn't finish first in the West.
I'm pointing, bro. They gave him an award they wouldn't even give LeBron for 7 years.
Hey, I feel like we had a really good show, but we're gonna end on that one because there it is.
Point forward.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Point Forward. Don't forget to follow Point Forward on social media and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. We appreciate you listening. See you next week.